Hello Scotties, it's Mrs. Ramirez, and we are going to complete our notes on tables, graphs, and equations. So today in class you glued them in, and now we are going to complete them. Okay, so you already, again, glued this part, this part, this part, this part, this part. It should have made like kind of an accordion. If you were absent, you have this video, you can look it over again and just get the papers from me when you return to school, okay? Again, we're working on tables, graphs, and equations. It's ratios, that's why it's red. We highlighted that in red. And we're gonna just walk through all the examples, and then you'll have this for you to study from. Okay, so our first example is, and I'm just gonna start with number 1 here. For every boy on the soccer team, there are 4 girls. And so they have already a ratio here given for us, 1 to 4. And so again, every boy, there are 4 girls. So that's again the boy to girl. And there are 2 other ways to write this. You can write it as a fraction or with the word 2. We're gonna leave it like that. We have that in another set of notes, but we're gonna use their way, which has 1:4. And then we're gonna create a table from this. So I'm going to label my table, always label it with what we're looking at, and I'm gonna use 2 different colors. So I'm gonna look at boy and girl, boys, well, let's make that plural, boys and girls. Boys and girls, and we are going to be making a table. So our table can kind of be whatever we want. I'm actually going to go in order here since my ratio is just a 1 to 4 ratio. So every 1 boy, there are 4 girls. Okay, and I'm just going to double. So if I double this, double my amount of boys is 2 boys and 8 girls. And from here to here, I'm doubling or timesing by 2, timesing by 2, timesing by 2. Okay. And you can think of it as also cross, so times 4 times 4. So there's different ways you can look at this. So I'll kind of draw this direction. We're timesing 4, timesing 4. Okay. Now if I go to the next level, I'm going to times by 3 here. 1 times 3. And I'm gonna get, again, 4 times 3 and get 12. Oops, let's go with my colors here, 12. And then we're gonna go with 4, which will then be 16. Okay, so again, I did times 2, times 3, times 3, times 4, times 4. And all of these across are times 4. Okay, just to kind of see that. But there are, again, are other ways to compare. So all of them are times 4. Okay. And we're gonna make a graph out of these. Okay, so the graph, we have to label our graph. Our graph does not have a grid. It kind of copied light. There was a grid there, but it kind of copied lightly. So I'm going to just try to make my grid as neatly as possible. So I'm gonna label down here my boys, and I'm gonna use B for boy and G for girl. Okay, so my boys along this, girls this way. So I'm gonna just have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. And I'm just gonna add one more just for fun. Even though we don't have 4 on our table, I'm just gonna add 1 for fun. And then going this direction, we can just count by kind of how we're counting, or we can go by 2s. In this case, it's easy to just use 4s because we're starting at 0 and counting by 4s. So it's okay to do that on this direction as long as you're labeling it. So 4 and trying to go equidistant. 4, 8, 12, 16. Okay. Each of these have to be the same value within each tick mark. So this is counting up by 1s. This direction, you can have it counting by the same amount. So here counting by 4s. Okay. I can't skip around. So this is like a number line this way, a number line this way, and you did these last year. Okay, so if I'm going to graph this, 1 boy goes with 4 girls. So I'm going to go over 1 to the boy, 4 girls. 2 boys is comparable to 8 girls. So 2, 8. 3 to 12. So 3, 12, put a dot there. And then 4, 16. Okay, what would be 5? You can always kind of guess and look at where it would be. We don't have a number here, but 4, 8, 12, 16, that would be 20, right? So I could keep going. And then we connect this line. It should make a straight line going through 0 if this is a ratio, which it is. I don't have a straight thing with me, so I could grab a ruler and do this. But you can also kind of sketch. If you don't have a ruler or straight edge, that's okay. Try to sketch from 0 through all those dots. Now, again, we didn't have graph paper, so if yours is a tiny bit crooked, that's actually not a big deal, but just know it's going to make a straight line going through 0. And then our equation. So we are going to make an equation using B and G, just to keep it kind of matching. So I'm going to use my variables B for boys, G for girls. For every 1 boy, it's 4 girls. So I am timesing 4 to my boy to get the output of the number of girls. So when I use 1 times 4 equals 4. 2 times 4 equals 8. 3 times 4 equals 12. 4 times 4 equals 16. We're going to use that to create our equation here. So our equation is when I multiply 4 times the number of boys, and again, I'm going to use B for boys. 4 times B is going to equal G, our number of girls. So if I say B is 5, 4 times 5 will give me a number of girls of 20. If I say boys, number of boys is 10, 4 times 10 will give me 40, the number of girls here. So an equation, which we haven't really gone through, but we're going to introduce it right now. An equation is going to help me figure out my table for larger numbers, okay? And we're going to work more with equations later in the year, but it's kind of nice to set it up with our table, graph, and this equation. So you'll get to see it, even though you might be like, what? So 4 groups of the boys, number of boys, equals number of girls. There's no add, subtract, multiply, or divide sign, because 4 B's is the same as doing 4 times the number of B's, okay? Example 2, we don't have words. We have to make up our own words here. And again, if you need to pause or if you need to rewind and rewatch it, don't fast forward. I would, again, just rewind or pause to get that information. And then that just folds up. Again, we did this in class like a little accordion. Okay, and example 2. So example 2, we're going to stop after example 2 because I see my time is getting kind of long. We'll do 3 and 4 on a different video or maybe in class. Okay, so example 2. We have to look at our table and kind of decide. We do have a title here, flour and eggs. So that helps me for every number of flour, cups of flour, see that little C, gives me a ratio with these eggs. Okay, so how are we going to word that? There's many ways you can do it. I'm going to give you my way. If you think of a different way, as long as it makes sense, you can write it. But I'm going to say for every 2 cups of flour, there are 4 eggs. Eggs. Okay, period. And our ratio is 2 to 4. We can simplify this, so I am going to make you simplify it. Our ratio is 2 to 4. But I can simplify this by dividing them both by 2. So it's kind of like when we are simplifying a fraction. So if I can divide them both by 2, my simplified version is that 1 to 2. I'm dividing them both by 2. 1 to 2. We have a table already. We just have to now do our graph. So our graph, we're going to label flour and eggs. Flour and eggs, okay? So I'm just going to use F and E. I know they're very, very close to each other, but F and E to kind of label this. And we're going to number, okay? Our flour is kind of going up by 2s, so you could count by 2s. You can count by 1s if you want to go with the 1 to 2 ratio. And then our eggs, we can count by 4s. That's what makes this so nice. We can just count. We're always starting at 0. Flour is 2, 4, 6, 8. So I can say 2, 4, 6, 8. Now, if my table's not going up in order like this, this would require a little more thought. It's nice. They give it to us in this nice little order. And then our eggs are counting by 4s, 0 to 4. So 4, 8, and try to draw these as equal as you can, like I said with the other one. Okay, so for every 2 cups of flour, there's 4 eggs. So 2 is 4. 4 cups of flour, 8 eggs. So 4 here, 8 here. 6, 12, and 8, 16. And it should, again, make a straight line right through 0 here. Okay, so I'm gonna use my ruler. If you don't have a ruler, just do your best you can. Again, we don't have graph paper on here, so it's a little bit off here. It should be on that line. Okay. And then our equation using E and F. So my flour, this helps me. I'm gonna go back and see what am I doing here. From here to here, I'm timesing 2. From here to here, I'm timesing 2. From here to here, I'm timesing 2. From here to here, timesing 2. We're all timesing 2. Okay, so for every cup of flour, we're timesing 2 to get the eggs. Okay, I'm gonna use that simplified version. So 2 times this flour will give me the number of eggs. Okay, so 2F is gonna equal the number of eggs I need. I double it. So if I had 8 cups of flour, 2 times 8 will give me the 16. If I had 20 cups of flour, 2 times 20 is 40. I would need 40 eggs, okay? I'm gonna stop there because I see my time is getting up. If you needed to pause or rewind, you have these 2. We will do the other 2 examples on another video, okay? Have a great rest of your day, Scotties. I'll see you tomorrow at school if you're coming to school, and we will work on these 2 examples on another video. Bye.